Jessica Biel and Elizabeth Banks are starring in a new Prime Video mystery called The Better Sister. It's a twisty story with some oddly comedic moments, but will the intrigue hold your attention? Chloe, a high-profile media executive, lives a picturesque life with her handsome lawyer husband Adam and teenage son Ethan, while her estranged sister Nicky struggles to make ends meet and stay clean. When Adam tragically dies, the two sisters try to untangle a complicated family history to discover the truth behind his death. This is an 8-episode limited series and is based on a novel by Alifair Burke. Now, I've not read it, so I won't be discussing whether or not this sticks to the source material. This is a convoluted storyline that is filled with complications designed to keep you guessing for a lot of the show. In addition to Biel and Banks, this also stars Corey Stoll, Matthew Modine, Lorraine Toussaint, Kim Dickens, Maxwell A.C. Donovan, Bobby Nadiri, and Gloria Rubin. Now, we learn of the death very early on in the first episode, but then we're treated to a bunch of flashbacks and recollections throughout the rest of the show. And this works to slowly give us context while not spoiling anything too quickly. Now, all 8 episodes, they drop at once, so you can get a healthy binge going. But because they're all about an hour-ish each, it's going to take the day. Now, just like with a lot of mystery and thriller series, there's a level of repetition that plays out. And unfortunately, that creates small periods where the pacing drags or makes the whole progression feel slower than it really should. Now, here's the thing, though. Despite this, you don't want to check out of the conversations because there are quite a few hints and revelations that are included. Now, they seem innocuous and benign at first, many of which you aren't even going to know were clues until later. But I found myself doing that whole Leonardo DiCaprio meme just a couple of times because a character mentioned something that had been an obscured hint within a previous sequence. There are also some extremely subtle and comedic moments that are captured here, but you have to be watching. Because of the strained relationship that exists between Banks and Biel, which is fully explained and examined throughout the whole series, they sometimes exchange these looks and expressions that are just gold. One that stuck in my mind was when the two were meeting with another person over a serious matter, and then Biel's beverage arrives. The look that Banks gives multiple times is just instantly relatable and crystal clear in the communication, creating this believable moment between sisters that didn't break the story flow at all. Now, I mentioned that the story is somewhat convoluted, and that happens because the show gives us a bunch of different shiny objects to focus on throughout each episode. Now, sometimes these felt like they were unnecessary tangents, simply serving as a distraction and then adding time. And while I think the show could have probably used fewer character arcs, they do each complement and then add to the progression, even if they also add some time. Now, as far as Banks and Biel go, they are outstanding in the series, both crafting vulnerable and damaged personas who also possess necessary strength to protect those that they care about. And I loved the strain that was between the two. I mean, it's explosive, unnerving, and then a lot of the time very uncomfortable, especially after we learn of the dynamics that define their unique family. And the rawness we get to see in the exchanges gives their characters relatable depth. And not so much as in we've experienced what they have, but the emotions of having somebody just let you down, or maybe having a broken family relationship, even the longing of acceptance from a loved one. These all come through loud and clear without feeling melodramatic or overblown. And the majority of the characters feel grounded, making them all the more believable. I'm not sure, though, why Kim Dickens' detective character was written to be the way that she was. I mean, I get having a chip on her shoulder given her background, but there's also this odd level of pent-up aggression that we normally only see depicted in male detective characters. I mean, she was a very angry and overbearing character, not only to suspects, but also her partner, making her a difficult character to warm up to, despite the actress having a lot of charisma. Matthew Modine is also kind of in his villain era, with his recent appearance in Netflix's Zero Day, and then, of course, his faux father role in Stranger Things. And here, he's a lawyer who instantly comes across as smarmy. Modine captures the pretentious air of his character just perfectly, creating a pompous persona while condescending to just about everyone around him through manufactured pseudo-charm. I mean, he's a character that you can love to hate, and I fully did. Now, I really enjoyed the psychology of the story as it dove into not only what transpires between the sisters, but also how so many of the characters were struggling with their own dysfunctional baggage. Now, some came from abuse or neglect, some from regret, others brought it on themselves through substances, but each time, the characters were allowed a redemptive opportunity. The messaging was strong from a mental health perspective, but not in your face or overbearing. This wasn't ramming some sermon down our throats, just simply using the idea of trauma to build out character flaws and weaknesses, and then providing outlets to showcase how they could or did overcome them. And some of this comes in obvious ways, like through 12-step meetings, but other times it's in the more subtle forms of realizations that someone had been manipulated and they now had the ability to right the wrongs. Throughout the show, there is this overhanging presence of vague baddies. And while I don't think identities matter, the supposed presence felt more weighty in the dialogue than actually played out within the storyline. It made the story feel, at least at times, that there was some sort of massive conspiracy playing out, but it remained undefined for any real meaning, making me think the inclusion may have played a larger role within the novel, and then just some of the remnants were kept in the series. I mean, it doesn't hurt the show in a detrimental way, but we're left with some imagery at the conclusion that's less impactful than I think the show believed it would be. This also has the potential to distract from the larger narrative, even though this does add to minor story complications. So despite having some repetitive moments that slow the pacing and having some elements that convolute the story progression rather than making it more complex, The Better Sister delivers a thrilling mystery, competently led by Jessica Biel and Elizabeth Banks. The characters are intricately built to create both intrigue and misdirection, while also maintaining relatably flawed personalities with the potential for redemption. The examinations of guilt, grief, and regret are powerful additions to the storytelling, creating an enthralling narrative that will have you engaged with the characters while also keeping you guessing. There's sex, a little nudity, a ton of profanity, and some brutal violence. I give The Better Sister 4 out of 5 couches. I am loving the limited series lately. Are there any that you have seen that are just excellent? Let me know about them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.